So hello guys, welcome back here at Gaming Boulevard. We're still here at Gamescom today to chat about the newly released, revealed Little Nightmares 2, one of the big surprises during the Gamescom opening night actually. Can you tell us a bit more about the game? Is it a direct sequel? Where are we exactly?
It's the second game in the Little Nightmares universe, but we're not really talking about where in the timeline it takes place right now. It's about we have a brand new protagonist called Mono, who you'll be playing as Mono throughout the game, but together with Six. Really, it's about their relationship and like how they maybe help each other and like the dynamic between these two characters and how they can survive in the outside world.
Right, really sounds already intriguing. So we control Mono as the new character. Does that mean we don't have direct control over Six?
Yeah, that's correct. So you only control Mono. Six is an AI-driven companion, but at the same time you can ask her to do something or check something for you. I mean, if that's relevant, she will. If that's not relevant, she will just like follow her, like normal behavior. For us, it was very, I think, important to make sure that Six remains faithful from what we have seen from the first game, because we know that she's an active character. We don't want her to look like a dog following you. So at the same time, she will do her own stuff. Sometimes she will take the lead depending on the situation, but sometimes you will have to ask her to do something for you to help you to reach like a platform or to activate a mechanism for the puzzle perspective. So it's a combination of both in order to make sure that we don't just get bored just to always ask herself to do something, or that she always do everything by herself. So we need to find the right balance. That's what we've been working on.
Right, cool. Does that also mean, because we also saw in the trailer that they broke out, so they're in the open world right now, and since they are two characters in one world, does this also mean you created bigger segments, like bigger puzzles, bigger enemies, since the power has been doubled since there are two characters now?
Two child characters though, so I mean, if you see what they're up against, I don't know if they're like twice as powerful, but they've got twice as many chances to try and survive. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the areas, it's an outside area now, so we have like the wilderness, like this forest, which isn't a Disney forest. It's very much a Little Nightmares environment still, so that's been a lot of fun, just like thinking, I mean, we saw glimpses of the outside world in the first game, but now, getting people thinking, well, how would an outside world really look? What kind of a world could the moor exist in, even though, wherever it is? So, yeah, what would a forest feel like? What would a school feel like, and in those places you got, like, the hunter and you got the teacher and all this, so... Yeah, I mean, in terms of size, I mean, it's always what feels natural rather than trying to make things feel especially bigger just because we've got two characters. So yeah, it's all about the feel and the natural feel for us.
Yeah, we also saw some glimpses of the enemies, which really have that distinctive style of the enemies that we faced in Little Nightmares 1. Is this something? How do you come up with that type of enemies? Because for horror games, for puzzle games, your enemies truly are unique. What are the ideas behind them? What brings them to life?
Well, I think it is like really a lot of iterations from the concept team and the artists. They really well, first they have of course a lot of inspiration from what they can see, read, listen as music, everything, and then usually they start with a concept and then just iterate until okay, you're really sure that you have the right kind of enemy. Usually you take something and you try to really twist it, make it really exaggerated, and then at that point you're like, oh, okay, then maybe that's an interesting lead. but there's a lot of iteration to get to that point. A lot of boards of things that they try, they discard, and they retry.
I know we were thinking about this way back with the first game as well. Like we're talking about like, what is it that kind of informs these characters, and it's almost like a kid would describe them. You know, if a kid had a nightmare or something, and they're trying to describe what was it you were so scared of in this dream, like, and everything's writ large, then it's the biggest thing they've ever seen, like, you know, the longest arms you've ever seen, everything's so exaggerated, like just like some drawing or whatever. And also, like, when you dream, things just get kind of fused in your head as well, and you know, and I'm not saying this is how exactly why it's so, but like with the hunter, you know, like, why has he got this sack over his head? But maybe that could be like a sack of something that he'd caught, like in the real world. But then, like, a kid it mixes all that up, because that's what nightmares do. They just put all these weird, disparate elements together and make something new and like other. And it's that otherness that I think really kind of makes these characters feel unique. Is that there's something recognizable, but then there's something that's just not quite right. And I think it's a great balance that they strike when they come up with these concepts. You're like, it's not so fantastical that you can feel safe. This is something that you recognize and you fear in your very core.
Yeah, I think speaking from point of view of the first one, you really nailed the atmosphere. So it really was this intense, unexpected experience. Bringing you back actually to your childhood fears. Of course, the first one was received with a lot of great success actually. The switchboard was also pleasantly received by the fans. Are there things that you've heard from fans or from critics, media, points that you think we should improve that in Little Nightmares 2? What are the improvements you're planning to make compared to the first one?
Yeah, well, also, yeah, obviously I mean, first of all, we are aware of our own, like, you know, things that we thought, like, okay, like, you know, because at some point you have to push the game, and you're like, it's always like, you know, heartbreaking, like to have to do so, because you always want to polish more. So there's a couple of things we know we would have, like, probably done better with a bit more time. That's like, for example, couple of like perspective issues when you do some platforming. Also, like, the play time was a bit short, but I think it was long enough to keep the player really, you know, entertained. But this is something we've also listened, and also we want to provide a bigger experience this time. There were a couple of like technical issues with the checkpoints that were a bit sometimes also long to respawn, stuff like that we're improving for this game. So there's several points like this we're aware and we're working on, and we're confident that we can like improve for the next game.
Sounds great. So Little Nightmares 1 eventually came to Nintendo Switch. Is it the plan for the sequel, Little Nightmares 2, to release on all platforms on day one, or will Nintendo fans have to wait a couple of extra months for their version?
No, lucky old Nintendo fans, everything's coming out at the same time.
I think that's the best possible answer, yeah. And then, yeah, last question. This really screams co-op gameplay, doesn't it?
No, it'll be screaming, but no, it'll be in single player screaming. No, it's a single player experience. We did consider co-op in the beginning because yeah, two characters, but I think that would have been, it was just the wrong choice. We knew straight away, again, it's about feel, and that would have been risked if we'd had co-op gameplay in there. Like, Little Nightmares is about the atmosphere and conducting that atmosphere, the mood, how the player feels. Do they feel safe now? Should they? You know, and then kind of puncturing that, and all of that is like, it's important that we kind of have control over that tension and the tone and all this. And I think so we just knew it was just the right thing to go single player and make sure that the you know, Six, the companion that you have with you feels very real and very kind of you know, very Six.
Right, really sounds like the best possible decision, actually. For my last question, I would like to give you guys the mic. Do you want to say something to the fans that are, just like me, actually really surprised to see this game on the opening night and are, counting down for release? Can you hype them up even more?
Speaking, for us at Tarsha, we're super happy that people were that excited, to see something from us, and also that in this day and age, you can have a surprise still, because it's very difficult to keep secrets. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the first game, the way that did was beyond our wildest expectations, and so we're just gonna do our absolute best to stay true to ourselves and keep that same passion for creating this world and this story and this game that we did for the first one, and hopefully we'll be unnerving everyone a second time round very soon.
Yeah, I mean, from the Bandai Namco side, obviously, like it's for the first game we were kind of coming out of nowhere. It's a new IP. It's a big challenge because you're really go into uncharted territories. This time people kind of expect a certain level of quality because the first game was quite well received. So it's very challenging to I think to make like our existing fans happy, but also provide something new, something fresh. That's why we've been working on adding what we think like are the relevant features for that, well, hopefully that's the right choice while we keep our core DNA, because that's very important. We don't want to just change everything because okay, let's we want to make a game which is bigger and then go crazy on the features. Every feature we're adding, we've consciously thought about it. Does it make sense for our game, for our world? So hopefully this will please existing fans. Also, if we can get new players coming in, that will be just amazing.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for this interview, and I think it's pretty clear. So it's a game to keep a close eye on, and we can't wait for future updates. So thanks again for this interview.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.